Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about Allstate's short-term medical plan and the solution that it has to offer. This is not our usual topic, but it's just as important nonetheless. You'll find out why here. We have Andy Larson from Allstate with us here, longtime partner. Excited to have him here. But before I hand over the mic to him, I have just a few housekeeping items. First things first, today will be recorded. This session's being recorded, so if you want to refer back to it or if you have to jump off the middle of it, that's okay. You'll receive a follow-up email after this with the recording in it and any other resources if we have any. Please feel free to ask us questions throughout the webinar. We will have a Q&A portion at the very end, so you can save your questions for then if you'd like. But yes, that is all I have. I like to keep it short and simple. And Andy, I will hand it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Sadie, and do appreciate you having me on here today to talk about Allstate Health. And as part of your workings with Allstate, as you may or may not know, your contract encompasses all things individual with Allstate. So not only the Medicare, maybe that's how you came to senior marketing specialist to join us, but your contract does have allow you access to our full range of products, which includes our under 65 world as well, from short-term medical, accident, dental, critical illness, all the ancillary products, indemnity products, so on and so forth. Now, short-term medical might be part of your toolkit already, just because you might have somebody who's either an early retiree, somebody who might have might be a trailing spouse of someone who went on Medicare, and they're looking for something to bridge that gap between that point in time and to when that person goes on Medicare themselves. Might be because you play in the ACA space and you might run into clients that have low to no subsidy, low to no utilization on their plan, and they might be priced out of ACA, or they just simply want an affordable option that is going to cover the doctors that they have. They may travel, so on and so forth. Many reasons why short-term medical might be an alternative for you. Now, just like other things that we're hearing about in the industry, especially some of the CMS rulings, so on and so forth, we're seeing changes to the short-term medical market as well. And today's presentation is going to be centered around what those changes upcoming are going to be. What are some immediate opportunities for you to take advantage, and then what life might be like post rule changes in this space. But all the while we have an opportunity in front of you, talk about some incentives that we have as well to make sure that you are prepared for this. I'm not going to go into real detail today about the short-term medical plan itself with Allstate, more so just what are these changes that are coming up, what does it mean for you, what opportunity you have, and maybe some step-by-steps to how to prepare and plan. And then afterwards, we want to get closer to the product itself. Our team will be more than happy to spend some time with you to strategize further on that front. But just like with any changes in anything, how did we get here? We look at an evolution of short-term medical. If you've been in this business for some time, short-term medical prior to say 2016, you've been able to write it for anywhere from 6 to 12 months, depending upon the state. And then, as the ACA evolved and had some challenges in many markets, from a pricing perspective, low to no subsidy perspective, just network limitations, short-term medical became a premier alternative to ACA for those clients where it was suited. In 2016, though, the government at that time limited short-term medical to 3 months in duration, just because it was starting to interfere with that prize legislation. In 2016, though, we did have an election, and a new administration came in and made new rules that started in 2018, where short-term medical could be written for 12 months, but then renewed up to 36 months. So that's where we're sitting today in today's world of 36-month plans of availability for short-term medical. So you can write someone for as little as 1 month, anywhere up to 36 months, depending upon your market. Now, being that senior marketing specialists, home base is Missouri, we can do 36 months, Iowa 36 months, Nebraska 36 months, Kansas 24 months, there's some different rules there, Illinois 6 months. So it's still a state-based durational component, but the world that we sit in on this day, you can write up to 36 months. However, in 2020, we had another election, so you're starting to see a path here. We expected that this new administration would go back to the 3-month duration component that we saw started in 2016. However, as 3 years passed by, we saw no changes in this space, and therefore we operated as normal. But last year, almost to the day in July, it was announced by the existing administration that short-term medical would have proposed rule limits to limit short-term medical to 3 months. So we factored in that perhaps by the first of the year, we would be seeing short-term medical down to 3 months. But it wasn't until April that the final rules were announced. And those final rules do take place on September 1st, where short-term medical will be limited to 3 months in duration, no more than 4 months with any renewals going forward. We'll talk about a little more in detail of that in a second. But I think as we look forward, it's important to know that we do have another election this year. So the future of this product perhaps is a little bit in flux. While we may have some new rules here in the near term, depending upon the election, perhaps, unfortunately, this is somewhat of this product is somewhat of a political football. We'll see what happens in 2025 and beyond, depending upon how that goes and what this world looks like here in 2025 in this space. Excuse me. So how we've gotten to this point is it's important to kind of understand the history, just because you might say, well, why does it keep going back to 3 months? Why does it go to 36 months? Why is it back to 3 months? It seems to be that just by based on who's in charge at the time. They want to have their specific rules in place, and we are just following along and making sure that you're informed so you can serve your clients to the best of your ability. So what are these regulations? What do they look like? What does it mean? So again, beginning 9/1 of 24, short-term medical contracts are limited to no more than 3 months in duration, and the max coverage period to no than 4 months, including renewals or extensions. So you can write a 3-month plan, but can only write it for an additional, any renewals for an additional month, total of 4. In addition, short-term policies cannot be sold or renewed by the same issuer to the same policyholder within a 12-month rolling period. So the next question is, okay, well, we can write a policy for 4 months. Can I just turn around and rewrite that client right away? The answer to that is not with the same carrier. So if you wrote a 4-month plan with Allstate, and their client needs another 4-month period to take care of the next 4 months in time, you're gonna have to take that client to another carrier. And then if they need another 4 months after that, another carrier after that, before they can come back to Allstate. Vice versa, if you have a client with another carrier on short-term medical and their 4-month period expires, you can come back to Allstate and rewrite them because we haven't seen them in a 12-month rolling period. So it does make it kind of more hodgepodge in terms of how you serve this client and who you place this client with, and just being able to keep that continuity. A lot of times these rules, and if you've been in this business for a while and see some changes, a lot of times these changes impact the client more than anything else. But at the end of the day, that's why you are a trusted advisor, to make sure that they know what to expect. And these rule changes are no different. The good news is here with these rule changes is that it does provide an immediate opportunity, because any business that is sold with longer term durations before 9/1 will not be impacted. So if you write a policy today, or you have a client on the books today for anywhere from 12 months up to 36 months, those contracts will not be impacted. They will allow to be run out based upon the existing rules when they were written. So that provides an immediate opportunity for you as the agent to serve your client if you have clients on the books today, or if you have new clients that are maybe suited for short-term medical within the next 55 days. My monthly math is a little rusty coming out of the July 4 break, but at the end of the day, we have an opportunity. And as we think about the world that we're going into, especially in the Medicare world, we've been hearing a lot from senior marketing specialists about the changes, about being prepared, and about opportunity. So with the short-term medical, this is no different. So with Allstate Health Solutions, we're presenting a strategy to where you can take care of your clients and put them in the best possible scenario to make sure that they are taking advantage of longer term durations. So we're calling it the summer of STM. You'll have the ability to write and or rewrite longer term short-term medical contracts anywhere up to 36 months by the 8/31 deadline. So you can write a 36-month plan up to 8/31, and they will not be impacted by the new rules. In addition, you have the ability to write 1/1/25 effective dates right now this minute. We've opened up the quoting range up to 180 days. So you can take care of your clients now to write them on 1/1 effective dates to make sure they're on that 1/1 cycle. So therefore, you're not dropping them off on an expiration date somewhere mid-year, which may require them to have a special event to get on other coverage. So that 1/1 cycle is important. You have that ability today to write that policy now. The key component here is that longer term duration policies must be submitted and signed by 8/31 to take advantage of these longer term durations. Again, you can quote and roll out 180 days today. For policies that have a December and January effective date, there's a 5% discount on those plans sold, so giving a little bit of extra incentive to keep within that window. But it's important to note that any application that is submitted and or signed on 9/1 or after are subject to the new rules. So you might have submitted a policy on 8/30, but your client signs it on September 2nd. Unfortunately, that does not qualify as a longer term duration. Because it was signed on September 2nd, that would require the new rules to be enforced for that particular policy. So submitted and signed by 8/31 is extremely vital. But this is good news because if you have clients on the books now, you can extend the runway out further. If they enjoy the short-term medical product, they're suited for it, it meets their needs. If you have new clients now, you can take advantage of this opportunity to make sure that if short-term medical is suited for them, or they maybe need to bridge that gap between retirement or that trailing spouse, you have the ability within the next couple months to take advantage of these longer-term durations. And in addition, you have the ability to sell certainty with Allstate. We have the longer-term durations, 2 or 3 years, so you won't, so you get that time period locked in, but you can also lock in the premium. With our 2 and 3 year options, you have rate lock options available. So when you go into quote, you can take a look at all the different durational options available. And for an upcharge, your client can realize a lock-in premium from month 1 to month 36. So if a standard renewal that will have a rate change every year is $100, your rate lock option might be $115, $120, but your client will know that from month 1 to month 36, that rate is only going to be $120 throughout the entirety of that policy. So you can sell certainty on the premium, and your client can feel comfortable knowing what they're going to pay that whole duration. In addition, you can secure your commissions as well. We pay level comp on all durationals. So for renewal plans, we no longer reduce comp after first year. So on month 1 and month 36, you'll be able to realize the same commission level on month 1 as you do on month 36. So not only does your client have certainty on the duration, potential certainty if they choose that rate lock guarantee, but you as the agent will be able to know what your revenue will be should those policies realize the full 2 or 3 year term. And you won't have to worry about business planning on renewals, so on and so forth. And all is well with not only your client, but you and your revenue stream as well. And lastly, with this certainty, it allows you more time to just focus on perhaps your senior business, ACA, maybe you're going to be writing some supplemental. Allstate will have some additional tools for you as a part of your ACA business to focus on supplemental. More to come on that down the line, but at the end of the day, it gives you more time to focus on core business in Q4. Some other considerations to think about here that as we go through this is if you do choose a January 1st effective date for your client, we do have deferred payment options available. So for that first premium, your client can choose a December 31st draft date for their policy to go into effect January 1st. That way they're not doubling up on their premiums here in the summer months to get those policies in by 8/31. Some states have rewrite rules, so it's important to strategize around that. For example, Illinois has rewrite rules, Kansas has rewrite rules. Considerations on pre-existing conditions. If you're familiar with this product, or if you're not, short-term medical does not cover for pre-existing conditions. We do not do pre-existing checks after 12 months on longer-term durations for eligible expenses. But in the event that, let's just say you wrote a policy in August and your client were to unfortunately have a diagnosis in October, we will still activate that policy for a January 1st if that's the chosen effective date. But if there's something that occurs in between the day the policy is written and the effective date, that would be considered pre-existing. So please make sure that your clients are aware of that. But should something happen, we fall into the ACA period, perhaps that's a better suited plan for them at that time to cover what might occur between now and the effective date. I reiterate that keeping clients on that 1/1 cycle as best as possible is a very good strategy. With your Medicare business, you're likely looking at a 1/1 cycle as best as possible for them as well to coincide with AEP periods. In the under 65 world, with the open enrollment periods, it's best to keep that client on a 1/1 cycle as much as you can, just by virtue of not dropping them off on an expired term in the middle of a year that may require a qualified event to get on new coverage. And one of the most important considerations is we say that 8/31 is the deadline, but keep in mind 8/31 is a Saturday that falls on Labor Day weekend. So it's best practice to not wait until the 30th to write or the 31st to write a policy if you can help it. There might be somebody that comes screaming in last minute, but know that you can help them with Allstate. But it's always best to plan ahead to make sure that those policies are submitted and signed by the 8/31 deadline, so you're not chasing anybody that already headed out to the lake for the weekend to celebrate Labor Day. So those are some of the considerations here. What our strategy is for you to take advantage of these longer term durations while they still exist. So a couple best practice notes in terms of how do we plan for this? How do we execute on this? And when it comes out to executing, it's best to map out a plan. Plan your work, work your plan. First, determine the type of client that you're going to see. Is this client new to Allstate? Are they a new short-term medical client in general, or are they maybe with another carrier, but you want to bring them to Allstate? The other type of client is a client that you might already have on the books with Allstate. But no matter which type of client that you're working with, there are separate actions to consider. Once you've determined that client, communicate to your clients, create the awareness. Believe it or not, there are still many agents out there that don't know these rules are changing. We talk to agents every day that are just finding out, agents that have one policy on the books with us, agents with 15 policies on the books. If agents are still trying to figure out that these rules are coming down the pike, clients need to be aware as well. So for those clients that like the short-term medical concept and are suited for it, it's important that they are aware that these rules are changing as well. And that's why we are trusted advisors, to make sure our clients are aware of changes to policies that will impact them in their situation. Once you've communicated, be sure to set your meetings within the time period to make sure that you take care of these clients before the changes. Make sure they're still suited for short-term medical. Determine that effective date, and again, the 1/1 cycle, we'll keep reiterating some of these things like 1/1 cycle and 8/31 submitted and signed. Here we go. Execute on this before the opportunity expires, submitted and signed by 8/31, very important. So if you have a new client, here are some recommendations. First off, does your client need a policy today? You can write an effective date of July 11th. You can do a next day effective date if you need to. You can write a plan up to 3 years today. And then if your client wants to extend that runway to make sure you get them on a 1/1 cycle, it's recommended that you write them 3 years today just to make sure that you have your base covered. But you can cancel that policy or rewrite that policy once that policy is in force. For the 1/1 effective date, just do it by the end of August. This just makes sure your client is on a 1/1 cycle. You can extend that term as long as possible. If they don't need a policy today, now you can look ahead to 1/1/25 effective dates and just make sure by the end of August, you write that policy for up to 3 years or 2 years, whatever your client's situation might be, and make sure that's done by the end of August, but you can put them on that 1/1 cycle. If you have a client that's an existing policy holder with Allstate, the process would be to go search for your clients in your agent back office and find active clients as your priority and then inactive as secondary. Prioritize by policy term date. Make sure you communicate with your clients, make them aware. Find out if their situation has changed. Are they still suited for short-term medical, or is another core health plan such as ACA more appropriate based upon their situation? And then determine that new effective date, which we recommend to be 1/1. So how do you find existing clients in your back office, Andy? Well, let's show you here. As you log into your back office, you'll see all sorts of different things here. But recommended that you click on the tab that says policies. When you go to policies, you'll see a search bar or a filter option on the left-hand side of the screen. When you're in that filter option, you'll scroll down and you'll find status. You drop down to active, product category, short-term medical. And once you've dropped down to those two filters, you'll click on search. And when you click search, in the field that says no data available in this table, that will populate all the active short-term medical policies that you have on the books today. When you click on term date, as you click, that term date will sort by soonest policy that's going to term. So if you have a policy that's going to term in August, those policies will show up first. If you have policies that are terming 2 years from now, those will probably show up lower down the line. But as you organize and you prioritize, you can start with those policies that are terminating the soonest and work your way down that way to make sure your clients are all taken care of and prepared. Once you've gotten that list set, you can download that list to make sure that you cross everybody off, put it into your CRMs, whatever you need to do to make sure that you're organized as you tackle your clients that are already on the books with Allstate. If you do have existing clients that you are going to rewrite, there is a streamlined rewrite process for you to make sure that this process is simplified as possible. This applies to any clients that you have on the books today or any new clients that you bring on, but that for an immediate effective date need, and then you decide to rewrite them. This rewrite process will apply for both. The rewrite process is going to be very simple. When you go into the application, or the quote, actually, it'll have some general eligibility questions, and then there's a box that'll ask if this is a rewrite. If it is a rewrite, then you check that box, and then once that policy is issued, that policy will be sent to a back-end queue where our rewrite team will evaluate that there are no duplicating products. If there is any rewrite rules, those will be established that the policy is still eligible. But then we'll also determine what the termination date is of the existing policy compared to the effective date of the new policy. If there is overlap, our back-end team will simply cancel out the existing policy as of the effective date of the new policy. So you're not going to have to call in and make any changes. We will cancel the existing policy as of the effective date of the new policy on your behalf. If there is any money that is unused as part of the cutoff date for the existing policy, we will refund that money to your client and make sure that all is square, and we just start from the new policy on. So, for example, if your client has a 15th, your client started a policy on June 15th. On December 10th, we will withdraw that premium for December 15th to January 15th. But if you choose a 1/1 effective date, we will cancel the existing policy as of December 31st, start the new policy January 1st, and there'll likely be about 15 days of unused money based upon premium received. We will refund that to your client, all on your behalf, making sure that this process is as seamless as possible, so that way you're not having to call our customer service teams and cancel any policies and figuring out what date to cancel on based upon as a new one. So remember the rewrite process for your existing clients. But there are rewrite rules. If we have any friends on this call that are writing business in Kansas, remember Kansas is limited to one rewrite, and that rewrite will extend up to 24 months of coverage total. Once 24 months of total coverage is achieved, then a 30-day break is required before rewriting with Allstate. Those are the state rules as we interpret them. Any consecutive plan durations or 24-month renewal plans are considered that one rewrite. So keep in mind that if to strategize around Kansas, that you would have to have that 30-day break before a 1/1 effective date if you intend to put your clients with Allstate on a 1/1 effective date to achieve that 24-month renewal. If you have a client that's only on a 12-month plan with Allstate today, Kansas, you can rewrite them for one more 12-month term as of the effective date that's desired. So going into how do we go into the system once you're in your back office and you click on quote and enroll. If you have a new client, you will just simply go as normal. If you would be writing a short-term medical plan, a Medicare sup, it's the same process. But if you're looking to rewrite, you'll simply go on the Customers tab. You'll search for the customer underneath the Customer tab. And then if it's a short-term medical plan already on the books, that will bring up that existing record, will also populate all the information for the members that were on the plan. We'll let you select members of which ones you want to proceed on a quote with, and then make sure that you choose the effective date or edit the effective date that's chosen or desired for that existing client. This avoids you from having to type in everything else as new. Make sure that you can just go in and find that customer and proceed with the quote and get out the door. Once you're in here, whether it's a new policy or an existing client, make sure that you choose your term duration. Make sure that your effective dates are secure. And make sure that as you enter in your client's information, that it's all accurate. If there is any inaccuracies on address, name, date of birth, or phone number, that can have an impact on the drug check. And if that is to be edited between the time the policy is written and the effective date, let's just say, for example, 1/1, that could lead to a policy being canceled just because of inaccurate information that has enrollment implications. So make sure that you review your information, make sure your client reviews their information before you submit and sign the policy. So this is just a snapshot of what our strategy is, what as we see the rules that are changing coming down the road here. So we have 31 days plus another 21. So we're at 52 days to take advantage of these longer term durations. We could spend another hour going deep dive on our short-term medical plan in and of its own, but I would recommend that before we speak next on this, go to our YouTube channel. There's a 30-minute tutorial on our short-term medical to give you that deep dive. And then once you've done that, you can connect with myself or Sherry Blackwood on our team, and we can help navigate some of the questions that you have, help you strategize around your clients, help you pull those lists from your back office if you do have existing clients on the books, and help clarify anything on the rules that still might be outstanding in your mind in terms of how to navigate around that. Also, I'll share this with Sadie as well post-presentation to share with you, but if you have one bookmark with Allstate, whether it is under 65 or over 65 altogether, all things individual, working with our sales team, this is the one bookmark that you'll have. We'll send the link to this, but there's a QR code here on the screen. This will have access to all of our resources, brochures, the YouTube channel, any recordings of webinars that we've done here in the past, anything upcoming that might be webinar related. We'll have registration for that as well. But you can also connect with our sales team and our calendars on this one pager, and also get existing bonus information as well. But when you connect with, as I mentioned, connect with Sherry for more information on this and want to do a deeper dive and strategize further, be happy to do so with you. Sherry's information will be on that our team landing page. So all these things considered, all the rule changes, what our strategy is, maybe some tips on how to go about any existing business on the books. we want to give you an incentive to take advantage of this longer term duration opportunity before it goes away. And so what we're doing, or what we've done, is we've launched a summer bonus that's actually 2 months through. We're already halfway through the bonus, but any policies that are submitted and signed by 8/31, minimum of 15, you will earn a bonus anywhere from $200 for 24-month policies up to $500 for 36-month policies. So there's some big bonus money that's available to you as long as you get 15 qualifying policies in the door. Your bonus will be determined based upon that duration. So if you have 10 24-month renewals, that's going to be $2,500. If you have 5 36-month renewals, that's another $2,500. So there's no limits on how many policies this will apply to, just a minimum of 15. We'll pay you back to policy 1, applies to new business and rewrites. And in addition, if you attach a accident policy, dental policy, an accident or cancer a combination to help mitigate your clients out of pocket that they might see on their plan, that's an extra $50 per policy for you to earn on top of the $250 or $500. And in addition, we do have a top producer trip incentive that is going to be extended actually through the end of the year. The short-term bonus ends on 8/31. The top producer conference trip to Cabo runs through December 31st. Our top 50 agents will be invited. So there's going to be opportunity to accumulate AIP credits for short-term plans, any supplemental sales that you might have with accident, dental, critical, and then 2 points on any Medicare supplement plan, final expense, senior dental, our newly launched accident plan for the senior space. All of those plans qualify toward AIP accumulation. Our top 50 agents and guests will join us at the Grand Marquis in Los Cabos, March 6 through 10 of 2025. So hope to see you there. And lastly, if you're not aware of our Elevate Rewards program, unfortunately, this does not apply towards short-term medical sales, but any other product, Medicare, senior products, it's important to make you aware of our Elevate Rewards program. Earn 2 reward points for every $1 of initial monthly premium collected. So for example, if you sell a $100 Medicare sup plan, that equals 200 Elevate Reward points, and roughly 243 points equates to a $10 Starbucks card. So from that perspective, one med sup policy a day will feed your Starbucks habit. So all sorts of ways to be incentivized with Allstate. But lastly, as we close here today, and I'll turn it back to Sadie for any questions, our sales team is here to support you, whether it is on the short-term medical or anything as it pertains to all things individual. As it pertains to the short-term medical, again, make sure that you know, based on the state you're marketing, what those rewrite rules are. Make sure that you're looking at your clients your client lists to make sure that they are aware of these rule changes, and take advantage before the 8/31 deadline as far as in advance as possible. So with that, I want to thank a senior marketing specialist for having me on, and I'll turn it back to Sadie to see if there's any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. Like he said, we don't have any questions right now, but please throw them in the questionnaire box. Otherwise, we'll get you guys out of here in just a few minutes. But Andy, I do have a question of my own, a question or two. First thing I have here is, so with these plans, are there any other ancillary products that you recommend cross-selling with these? Just looking at it from like a holistic approach, especially people in this market are so used to cross-selling. Are there any other plans that you would recommend that these agents cross-sell with the short-term medical?
Yes, in fact, what we normally see with our agents, and you look at where the price points lie with some of the different deductible and co-insurance structures, we see our most popular option in that $5,000 deductible range, 50% co-insurance, $10,000 total max out of pocket. But what that does compared to, say, a $2,500 deductible is that it creates a premium price point to where if we looked at not only short-term medical, but we say we look at a $5,000 accident plan, and then we maybe look at a $25,000 cancer, heart attack, and stroke plan. Not only are we covering for the short-term medical, and you can take short-term medical and ACA and swap them out equally. The same concept applies. Out-of-pocket exposure exists. So an accident plan will help offset or subsidize the out-of-pocket for accident. Cancer, heart attack, stroke with a $25,000 benefit, although it's underwritten, will allow you to your client to realize $25,000 lump sum for first ever cancer diagnosis. And then again, in another bucket, $25,000 for first ever heart attack or stroke event. So not only do you realize the anxiety that someone might have with a high out of pocket on accidents, but also the big three that make up about 80% of critical illnesses. So that's what we recommend: short-term, accident, and then cancer, heart, stroke. And then on top of that, we do offer a 15% discount on our dental plans for bundling. So that will be another incentive to look at some of our great dental options that have no waiting periods for basic or major services, coverage from day one, increasing benefits. We do have copay dental options in Missouri as well. So flat rate copays instead of percentage base, a little more predictable for your client when they utilize the dentist. So certainly a great question, Sadie. And that's part of some of the strategizing around all of this as well. Awesome. And some bonus money too.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, that's why we love cross-selling here. And at Senior Marketing Specialists, we are partial to those cancer and critical care plans. So we think, whether you're in the Medicare industry or you're in that market or you're in this other market, always a great thing to be cross-selling. We do have one question here, and then we will go ahead and get us out of here. But let's see. It says, with Allstate doing this special deal where they can get a 3-year plan even after the regulation is changed, what if the regulation changes again during that 3-year time?
That's a good question. I'd like to say I have a crystal ball to see what's going to happen next. Again, this is unfortunately, it's just this product and this market the wind seems to blow based upon who's in office. And we look back in history, the last time the rules were changed from the 3-month world to the 36-month world, that takes some time. You have to go through that process of if a new administration comes in and says, we're going to put short-term medical plans back to 36 months, how long does that take to unwind, or how long does that take? Carriers, I believe, are already set up for it. So if it's simply just a reversal, those plan filings exist. Now, when it changed the last time from 3 months to 36 months, it did take some time just because carriers didn't have renewability provisions in their contracts. So therefore, that took more time to get that online from when the executive order was signed in 2016. Or 2017, excuse me. It took almost to mid-year of 2018 before those 36-month plans came to the market. So, anything is possible. What the new rules would look like, any new rules could look like if there's a change. The good news is, though, I think, which is the most important, is that anything you write before 9/1, based upon the new rules, those policies aren't impacted. So that's the certainty I think we run with today, and we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great answer. Just the nature of working with, a product that is privatized, but also, is like ruled by the government and everything. Things are constantly changing. This industry, to work in this industry, it's to hurry up and wait on a lot of answers for our questions. But
that is the truth. That is the truth. So.
Awesome. Well, those are all the questions that we have right now. Like Andy said earlier, he's going to send over those resources that he had throughout the presentation for us. I'll make sure that you guys get those. But if you have any questions at all, please feel free to call our office. We'd love to get you in contact, or contact one of the lovely people on the slides here down below. But if there's anything else that we can do for you, Senior Marketing Specialists in Allstate would love to help you out. So just give us a call. But Andy, thank you so much. This was great.
Anytime. Love joining you guys and spending time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.